Welcome, I am John Meglin, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to manage updates for Windows and Linux workloads using Azure Security and Configuration Management. This is our agenda. Again, Azure Operations Management, managing updates, managing configuration, inventory and change tracking, and then I'll be doing a demo to show you how this stuff works. This is our full stack of Azure and Azure Security and Operations Management services. You can see there's a lot on this page. They are all cloud-based. No infrastructure is required. They all span Azure resources, and in most cases, we can also manage AWS, on-prem, and Google resources. So we are truly hybrid cloud. Some services you may be more familiar with, like backup and DR under the product category. Today we'll be talking primarily about the configuration and update management piece. Maintaining a secure and reliable environment in Azure and beyond can be a challenge. We hear that from our customers all the time, from deployment and monitoring to updating and compliance, which is what we are discussing today. Azure Security and Configuration Management Services has you covered. As I said, focusing today on Azure Configuration Management, it'll provide several services to help us take care of a few different areas. We have an inventory feature to assist you in discovering what resources you have out there. Additionally, we have change tracking to help monitor changes in configuration management through PowerShell. Desired state configuration. Again, all new stuff that you'll want to familiar yourself with. So let's get started with our demo. So first we're going to go into the Azure portal and we're going to take a look at one of our virtual machines that we have here. And if you've been in before, this will look familiar too. It's just a roll-up of our virtual machine. If we go down and scroll the settings, we'll see some new things here. Update Manager is what we're talking today. We're going to click into that. And that'll take some seconds to load here. And notice that we have the screens, but there's no settings here. All we have to do to enable it is go right here at the top and hit enable. And then it's terribly complex. Basically, we use the automation piece in Azure, and if we don't have a workspace and an automation account, it'll go ahead and create one for us. There's one populated here, but we'll go ahead and tell it we want to create a new one, and it's going to create that account. And then all we have to do is simply click enable. This will take a few minutes. It'll initialize the deployment, and then it'll start the actual deployment, submit it, and start it. And like I said, it probably takes about 15 minutes. We'll go ahead and take a look at the default workspace that was created here. While that's happening, again, you can see the name of our default workspace that was created. And this is another way to do it. You hit your virtual machines tab, and then you get all your virtual machines that are in your Azure portal. You can see that one we just did is checked. And we just look at the status here. It's connected. We could disconnect if we wanted to. And we can refresh the settings. So not a lot in here to show right now, but we'll just go ahead and close out of that. Just want to show you that that one was connected. If we want to connect others, we can simply click into them. And you can see it's not connected, and we can hit the connect button. It's just another way to do the same thing that I showed you a few minutes ago, or a few seconds ago actually. And you can see again it's going to take a little while. No big deal, but it shows you the status connecting. That's a Linux machine. So we can do Windows and Linux virtual machines, both in Azure and AWS and on-premise. Same settings there you can see for the Linux machine. So now that we've got it turned down, let's drill down into our virtual machine and take a look at some of the settings that have come back related to our Windows updates feature piece. So you can see we'll drill down to this virtual machine. It's the same one we were looking at earlier, the Win Update VM, and we'll go ahead and hit our Update Management tab. And it's going to take a second here, but you can see we're starting to get populated with data and things that are going on. So in this particular Windows machine, we can hover over that and see this VM is compliant according to our security update process. It's got a couple definition updates, things like that down there that you can see that we need to be that we can take care of in this pane. And let's take a look at the Linux machine to see some of the differences here. Again, you'll see this is our Linux machine. We'll go down to the same tab and look at the update management piece. And it'll look a little different here. This machine is going to be not compliant with what's going on. We're actually missing some security updates, and it tells us there's 2 of them. And we can see by scrolling down what's going on. Those 2 security updates, other things that that could be updated that aren't necessarily critical. But we can bounce into that actual security update. It's taking a second to load there. Sorry about that. But once we get in it, we can drill down. We can see the the data as far as the day, and some settings we have here to filter these results. We can go ahead and hit that and drill down and get some more information on what's going on with the security update, what it's related to, what OS we're running, things like that, so we can make some decisions on whether we want to execute that update or not. And again, just back in the screen, our roll-up screen here of this specific machine. You can see if we had any updates scheduled or the ones that are deployed. We can see those there. And we want to go ahead and schedule that update. We can go ahead and schedule it right from there up at the top. And like everything in Azure, we need to give it a name. So this is a Linux machine, so we'll just call this our Linux update. And if we want to exclude things, we could click here and exclude if we didn't want certain updates to happen. And then we can go and schedule when we want this update to happen. And we can choose what day it starts. Again, it's going to default to today. We can make it once a recurring. We can pick a different date out in the future that we'd like. We can change the time. Or we can take a look at managing multiple computers. That's another thing we can do. So you say, hey, that's great for one, but I've got lots of servers in Azure. I want to manage multiple of those. And you can see this multiple management tab looks very familiar, but it shows all our computers. And then we can do similar things like look at the missing updates. If we have an update schedule, we can add VMs, add non-Azure VMs from this screen also. We'll go ahead and take a look at adding an Azure VM from that screen. So maybe it's one that we don't have currently under management for Windows updates and we want to. You can see we can just go ahead and click enable there, and that would enable that one for updates and bring it into the fold. We can look at our missing updates. Same screens we saw with the single machine, but it's for all the machines. We had again deployments or scheduled updates going on. And just like the other, we can drill down into that specific update for that specific machine if we want to, right from the multiple computer window. And we're looking at what we were looking at before, the drill down piece and the changes. If I want to narrow the scope of this just to like security updates, I can pick that, hit apply there, and it's going to narrow that list down to just security updates. And then we could drill down again into that one and get more information on that. Again, not, updating is not a terribly sexy thing, but it's something that needs to happen. It's very important with most folks, compliance and security policies. But you can see it allows an admin to drill down pretty granular detail. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at scheduling that update deployment from there for this Linux machine. It's going to let us pick our machine. In this case, I only have one, but if you had multiples, you could actually schedule multiples from here. Again, if we wanted to exclude things, we have that option. And the schedule, we took a look at this earlier, but again, typical things that we can pick here. Lots of settings: date, time, time zone, once a recurring. In this case, we take a look at the recurring, see the options here: recur once every week, every month, day, set expirations, no expirations. By default, it never expires. So lots of different settings. Again, once you do that, we can come in here and look at the things that we have deployed or have been deployed, and I just kicked that one off, so it's loading. It'll take a few minutes for that to load. Again, a very powerful thing for not only Azure machines but AWS machines. Again, I'll show you the same process for the Windows servers. It's very, very similar. I've got more machines here, so I could pick multiple machines. If I wanted to, I can pick just the one. And with this, unlike the Linux, they've got the classifications loaded, so we can limit that way by classification. We can also, again, exclude. Throw in a KB article there, and you can exclude that update. We've already showed this screen, but just bounce around in there. We can, again, once a recurring, kick that job off, and then we have again, to show you recurring, the options. Sorry to be redundant here, but I want you to get the feel for what can be done with the product. Again, we can alter that maintenance window. This gives you a good idea what the maintenance window is. Go as small as 30 minutes. We'll go ahead and change that. We'll go ahead and create that job. So again, very powerful tool. Once enabled, gives us a lot of information and lets us manage our updates without WSUS servers, no infrastructure, and we can manage that all as a service, which is a really cool thing. The next thing we want to take a look at is in this concept of configuration management is the automation account, and this concept of our inventory and changes process. First, we want to take a look at the inventory piece. You just go into the automation account and scroll down to the inventory preview piece. You can see there's a lot of new things here that we talked about. This desired state configuration, change tracking, inventory. It's pretty cool. All new stuff to help us manage our environment in Azure. Again, not only in Azure, but in other services also. So we just go ahead and enable that. So that's we turn that on. Pretty simple thing to do. You can't beat that. It recognizes our default workspace in our automation account that we already created earlier. And again, that's going to take a little bit, 10 or 15 minutes, but we'll just use the miracle of video and jump into the change tracking piece real quick and see I don't have anything configured here. Nothing's come back yet. Again, it will take a while for all that auditing to happen and succeed. And we can see we're starting to get it turned on here. We can see we can add our Azure virtual machines right from here. If they've already been enabled, as you can see when we click into this one, it'll show us that was already enabled. Again, many ways to do the same things, and things that we've done help other places. We can see these machines that we've already picked. Here's our Linux machine that we loaded earlier. That one, it's not. That's actually in this different machine that we can see. We can hit enable there, and we can turn it on. We can add non-Azure machines from here, and you can see we can drill down into that and get specific information on how to deploy that onto those non-Azure machines that are out there, either on-premise, AWS. Here's our inventory that's came back. You can see our virtual machines are listed. We can look at any software that's in the inventory. things that are installed, the registry settings. We can search for things across machines, services. These are all things, again, we can filter through these on things we're looking for, but these are all things or services that are running on these machines that are out there. So again, a very powerful tool to let you get some insight in what's going on with your environment. We can narrow that as I'm showing you there. And we can do things like registry keys. We can, if we're worried about a specific thing, we could type it in. We can drill down into what's going on there and actually get a look at what's going on with that, what it's running on. Again, we have filter areas over here. We can see the machines. We can drill down, see what computer it's running on. Again, lots of information to help us do our job with managing what's going on with our environment. We can get a chart view. Nothing's going to come up here because I haven't had any time to actually populate that data. We can hit some analytics, and it'll actually load, taps into Microsoft's log analytics, and we can actually drill down into that. You can see it's grabbing the data for us on that specific service name. And we can do things like look at change tracking, log management, things like that. So really cool stuff we can do to help us manage our environment again. And again, this is all new stuff that's in preview now to be available as production very, very soon. We can look at the Linux part, same kind of thing, see what's going on, drill down into those things in the same manner as we did the Windows machines. And all just cool stuff on the inventory piece. Okay, let's move from our inventory piece to our change tracking piece. As you can see, when this loads up, we're going to start to have some data that's been in here. We've had it running for a little while. It's going to load our data, and you can see we've got several things in the software category, in the services side. Show you how to add a machine there. We can hit add a machine up at the top, and again, just like before, again, it all looks the same. It's pretty cool. We can see we already have quite a bit in there. As we talked, we can add non-Azure machines. We can do the log analytics from here too. We can edit our settings. So these are the things that we're monitoring, via the registry, Windows files, Linux files, things like that. And there is an add section too if we want to go ahead and add our own specific things that we want to search for. Changes. Again, we're looking for changes in the registry on the machines, files, both Windows and Linux. We can enter our item name, put in our reg key, like I was just saying, and go ahead and add our own thing to monitor. Lots of flexibility there. We can manage that connection. We can see we're connected. It shows us our information, our subscription. If we wanted to disconnect that, or if we were disconnected, we'd just go ahead and connect there to go ahead and start that activity log connection. We can change what we're looking at here, get rid of some of these categories, look at them all, which is what we're looking at now. We can just look at the software section, for example, narrow it down. Again, this is really cool, and Microsoft's done a lot of work, and there's probably going to be a lot more work done to this. There's new features showing up into these every day. We're drilling down here. You can see, shows us what's going on there, whether it's installed, not installed, different things like that. We can narrow the window or expand the window from 30 minutes to up to last 30 days, or we can even have a custom schedule. Again, showing you how we can pick the different things. We can go ahead and do the all look again. Again, depending on what you want to monitor, what's going on. In this case, I've got some events going on in the services section and in the software section. And we can actually, it's intelligent there. We can drill around with the when it turns to a plus and drill down on the timeline by just moving the mouse and getting into specific times of days. things like that. All really cool stuff, and I hope you liked our demo. Thanks for attending our talk today. My name is John Meglin again. I've been the one discussing this today. If you'd like further information, you can see our telephone number and our email address. Get with us and we'll help you out. Thanks.